So I think it's time to start. So welcome everybody. My name is Vojtech Barta, and one of my biggest hobby, besides quality assurance, is sports photography. And every sports photographer, he wants to shoot on Rally Dakar. For me, it's still a dream, so that's why all of these pictures from that presentation were taken by another great Czech sports photographer, Martin Kozak, which I am thankful to him to providing me. And at first, I would like to know, who knows what is Agile? Good. And who knows what is Rally Dakar? Okay, I think we are good. And who knows why I want to compare these two things? Good, somebody. So why? Because we wear so often some pink glasses. And especially in our IT world, we often live in an illusion. We see things which we want to see, but we do ignore reality. And that's why sometimes it's very helpful to step outside from our box to totally different box. So from IT to Rally Dakar. And to compare these things and to try to apply our knowledge, our beliefs, our processes to something totally different. And I think that Rally Dakar is enough different from our IT world that that would be a good comparison. But at first, let's start with my favorite movie, Fast and Furious. Why? Because this is perfect definition of Agile. There is everything in that picture. Because you see that white Mustang here, this is current ending iteration. This blue Mustang, that's a next iteration. And the guy here, these are us moving from one iteration to another. And we are so used to do it in this way, full speed, no stop, and so on. And it's wrong. The correct way is you go, you park your car, you change a car, and you continue. But Agile should be fast, so we do it in this way. And there is that tank here. And what it could be? It could be our technical debt. It could be all of these defects we are postponing. It's maybe a customer chasing us like, hey, you are not delivering what I want, please, I want to be there. Or something else. I leave it to your imagination. But the name of the movie is Fast and Furious, and that's where the Rally Dakar parallel starts, because Rally Dakar also is fast, but it cannot be furious. And Agile development should be fast, but not furious. So Rally Dakar 2017 was called the Odyssey, and it's a very complex thing. You start here, and you should go to Buenos Aires, but not this way. That would be too easy. So you have to go this way, or along 12 days. There are a lot of acceptance criteria. You need to be in time limit. Every day you need to succeed, you need to continue, and so on. And actually, this is the second biggest racing event on the world after Formula 1. So it's complex. It's not easy. And that's the first similarity with our IT world. It's not easy in our job. And every year, there are people like that. There are winners. There are also the others who finish the race, who finish the entire Dakar, and I consider that to be success. But every year, there are many people who end like that. They will not finish the Dakar. And it's more than half every year, half of the people will not finish the race. So what makes the difference? Is it luck? Of course you need a lot of luck to finish that race. But if it is only about luck, how it is possible that these guys, the Kamas from Russia, for last 20 years, they were always on a winning stage. And 14 times, they were the first one. If it's about only luck, I don't understand it. There needs to be something more. And of course there is something more, because they approach it in a different way. They understand that Dakar, it's a long project. It's not about 2 weeks of racing, and they do everything to succeed. So it's about preparation, car, strategy, money, of course. Like the budget is the same as for all of the rest together. So money are important, but more important is this way of thinking long project and preparation. So when Dakar ends in January, they have maybe 1 month of vacation, and then it all starts again. So they are learning from a previous, they prepare a new car, new strategy, and then they start racing. They attend like 6, 7 different rallies before a Dakar. And there is only one goal for them, to be as prepared as possible next year on the Dakar, because the Dakar for them is kind of UAT of entire year project. So it's about the preparation. And now I would like you to imagine how it looks with preparation on your current project. So do we do everything like them to succeed? Or do we do a lot of compromises? And there is no such word as a compromise in rally. But I think that we all use compromises so often that it's like normal. It's like jumping from that car to another car. It's like another compromise. And I choose 3 of them, which I think are the most common, but also the most crazy one. So the first compromise we often do is we don't know what we should deliver. We don't know how to do it, why to do it, for whom to do it, but who cares? We plan it to the next iteration and let's see what happens. Okay. The second one is we know there are plenty of open defects, but we focus on user stories. Yeah, we fix defects later. And my favorite one, because I'm tester, it's not testing. There was not enough time, but we deliver. We believe it works. And now I would like to imagine that you are a spectator. So you are one of these guys, you are a spectator, you are enjoying the Rally Dakar, and then somebody from that racing team came to you and said, hey, our driver is sick. Can you please drive instead of him? What would be your answer? Yes, I can. I have a driving license. It's going to be a lot of fun. Sure, I'll do it. But this is how it looks like in that car. There are some similarities. There is a steering, brake, gas, and so on, some gear, and so on. But that's all. And this is similar in our IT world. Because normal human using a computer, it's like driving a normal car. You still need some skills. But it's not so complex. But developing software, the complexity is the same as here. You have no idea, as a normal human, how to drive this car. But we underestimate it so often. We do not see that. We don't see that complexity and we say, yeah, just go. No, thank you. I don't want to die. I know that I need to know these things before I can race. And it's about a team. Everybody on the rally knows that they cannot do it alone. That there is a team, and everyone from that team, by the way, this is a Czech Bagheera team, they are well competing with Kamaz. They never beat them, but they are second, third every year, and so on. And everybody knows what his responsibility is, and so on. And because it's quite a big group of people, there needs to be a process. And I hate word process. Much better word is agreement. And it's maybe just the semantics, but agreement means we agreed about it. Entire team agreed, they built it probably themselves, they fine-tuned it, they agreed, so there is no reason to don't follow it, to cheat, and something like that. It's an agreement. If it doesn't work, revise it, fine-tune it quickly, agree again, and then follow it. And Rally Dakar is different. Our world is different. But there are two things which you will find in every area, in every company, no matter in what industry. And it's called definition of ready and definition of done. And my wife, she's a teacher, and they also have something like that. Definition of ready, definition of done, and some plans how to educate kids. So it's everywhere. So let's start with the definition of ready. It's a checklist, list of activities you need to do, you need to achieve before you start something. So in the case of the rally, good example could be there is a checklist, what has to be done before you start race. So that's one of the part. You need to prepare your navigation. Also, you need to know what is the time limit, speed limit. You need to have a fuel in your car, and so on. And it's similar in our world. There needs to be something, it's groomed, it's understood, it's sized, it's agreed, and so on. If we go to more details, I would say that we need to answer these three questions. And that is why every kind of requirement somehow has the structure. As somebody, I would like something to achieve some goal, to do something, to deliver some value. And that part, what should be done, it is less important. Because at first we need to know for whom and why. And important is that both of them are mandatory. And it sounds crazy, but sometimes we have an answer only for one of them. There are situations when we know why we should do that. It's that great idea, especially in the startups. It's a good idea, it will do that and that, but we don't know for whom. And it means if we don't know for whom, probably nobody will use that. So if you don't have this answer, don't start. And the why? It's the same. Sometimes we know it's for that guy, but there is no clear impact. You cannot say, I am doing that because that guy will do this with that, and this is the value which we will deliver. And after you answer these two questions, the third one, what? It's also important. But that could be kind of idea. We have an idea how we will implement it. We have the idea how we will verify it. We have all of these what ideas. It doesn't need to be specific. But also we have to have skills to do that. And junior driver, normal driver, they cannot drive the car. Junior tester, you cannot let them to test it themselves, the entire system, and so on. So we need to be realistic. And also goals needs to be realistic. I agree, goals needs to be challenging. That's fine. But if you have that feeling, it's impossible. I think we cannot achieve that. Even if you understand why you are doing, for whom, what you are doing, say no. Say, I think it's too much, and say it upfront. Because otherwise, you will die during that rally. Because in 90% cases, I would say, if there is a feeling at the start that something is too much, you will not succeed, whatever is the reason for that feeling. But let's imagine that we did everything right. Our checklist is completed, everything is marked, so now it's time for race. In our world, the sprint started. We start the implementation. And now it's a time to be fast. Maybe a bit of furious. Just a bit. Because we are well prepared. We did everything what we could, so now it is paying back, and it needs to be a race. And I'm missing that attitude a lot. The sprint starts, and we are walking like that. Yeah. No, the sprint is the race, and it needs to be fast. And we need to be prepared that always something could go wrong. And these guys, they are the best one of entire world. And there are still accidents on Rally Dakar. But usually they continue. Even that guy, they just flip the car and he continues. Sometimes there are fatal accidents. Every second, every third year, somebody dies on rally. But I think that if they do compromises, as we do, there will be somebody dying every day during the rally. But there will be surprises. There will always be surprises, and you cannot avoid them. But you can focus and plan what could go wrong. And there are 3 guys in a cabin of Dakar truck. There is a driver, there is a navigator, and there is a mechanic. All of them has some responsibilities, but each of them knows that car to the last screw. And together they are capable to fix everything because they think about every possible damage that can happen to that car, and they have the plan how to fix that. And they have the tools, and they know what to do. And they are quick with that. And now, to be honest, are we so well prepared for all of the possibilities what could go wrong on our projects, like there? I don't think so. But we also need to know where we are finished. And that's when definition of done, another checklist, is good to have. And during the racing, that is simple, right? I cross the finishing line, I am finished. But what does it mean in perspective that you have to continue tomorrow? Because Dakar, it's 12 stages every day, and you have to continue. And that's a totally different approach. It's like 12 sprints in the project. So you have to prepare for the another. And it's easy to win once. But to win or to succeed, at least succeed in every race to be on that Buenos Aires, half of the people will not succeed in that. And we have the same thing on our projects. We need to have a definition of done. And there at least needs to be things like it's implemented, it's tested, major defects are fixed, maybe it's automated, and so on. Again, it's agreement what really means done. And everybody agrees. But sometimes we need to postpone things, right? And sometimes it's a good idea to postpone things, like refactoring. I'm okay with postponing that. And also that's why on Dakar, in the middle, after 6 stages, there is a free day. Everybody can rest, they can have some sightseeing and so on, but it doesn't apply to mechanics. Actually, this is the hardest day for them, because finally, after 6 days, they have entire day to do a complete service of the car. It's tough day, but the next morning, the car is ready to continue for another 6 days. And it's proven that if there is no day like that, nobody will finish. The technique, the car itself, it cannot survive 12 days of racing. You need to do proper fixes after 6 days. Nobody will finish that. Even Kamas will not finish that. And it's same on our world. Average project takes a bit more time, so we need to stop every few iterations and focus on a depth, focus on some improvements, refactoring, proof of concepts, and so on. Otherwise, we are building something which maybe now it's not pain yet, but in next 3-6 sprints, the pain will be grow, and you will not finish the race. And because we are all testers, we deal with the defects. And we all know that the critical and major defects should be fixed as soon as possible, so right away. But there is a huge difference between proper fix and temporary fix. This is a perfect example of temporary fix. It's creative, it works enough to finish a daily race, but everybody knows this is not good for entire rally. You need to fix it at the evening properly. But to be honest, how many of such defects, such fixes, you still have in your product? And how many of them are in the production? And we somehow believe that it's enough to fix it like that. It's not enough. And then what about these low severity defects? Let's forget about minors. They are okay. But something which is called severity normal. At first, stop saying severity normal. There is nothing normal about the defects, so calling that it's a normal severity is just wrong. So let's say medium severity. Should we fix them right away? Yes. Can we postpone them? Maybe. To the next iteration, I'm pretty okay with that. To the later, it starts to smell. Because there is one huge risk about that medium severity things. What if we make it wrong? What if some of them are critical and our evaluation was wrong? So we should be fixing them as soon as possible too. Otherwise, I think 50 medium severity defects are much worse than one critical. It's much bigger risk. And I believe it needs to be incredible emotions, incredible feelings when you are in the Buenos Aires, you finish the race, and it's really worth it. And it's the same in our software world. It's a great feeling when you deliver a software you are proud about, you know it helps customer is happy, and you solve it. So celebrate that success. Celebrate even smaller success, like finish every race, we are continuing good, because that's the biggest motivation. But don't forget, it doesn't end there. In Buenos Aires, you finished, but there is something called done, whatever number of dones you want to, and in rally it means all of these tracks need to go back to the Europe. You will probably use them again next year. If you are not Kamas, they usually create a new one because they have money for that. But you need to do a lot of things after that winning podium. And in software development, we need to do a lot of things after UAT until production. And even after that, we usually support our projects and so on. And I always say, develop it in the way that you should support it yourself. Because that's a big pressure for you. If you throw it to some maintenance team, not a big problem. But if you should support that, that's another part of your definition of done or done or whatever. But most important, it has to be fun. And I believe that everybody on the Rally Dakar enjoys that, even it's very hard. But we spend 8 hours per day in our work. It's 1/3 of our life. And it's too long to do not enjoy it. And I don't understand that in IT. In IT, we have so many opportunities that doing something just because of work, like, hey, it's 3 p.m., I can go home finally, that's just wrong. So enjoy your work or change it somehow, and there is never too late. And there is where our story about Dakar ends. We are not like that, guys. We are more like these guys. But using stories like that is very important, because you are removing the pink glasses. You see something which is now obvious, because we already heard so many stories, how Agile doesn't work, what are the challenges, and so on. We are not listening. Yeah, it will not happen to me. It will happen to you, but if you visualize it somehow, using a different story, it helps. So for example, when I'm saying, hey guys, is it still safe to continue in the race? My team knows what I'm referring to. So that's the power of story. And then one thing about definition of ready and done, important is, it has own evolution. It depends on the stage you are in your product. Everything starts with some idea. I want to race on a Dakar. Great idea. Yeah, I want to develop some new product. Great idea. But there needs to be some clear definition of done, how to move to another stage. So I decided I will race on the Dakar. It's a big difference. One word change, but a big difference. And there needs to be something. Yeah, I probably know how to get the money. I know how to learn it. I know how to build the team, and so on and so on. Then there is that preparation. I did everything to succeed. Good. Again, some exit entrance criteria to achieve, really. Dakar is now. And even if I did a lot of things, there is also legal stuff. Like you cannot just say, hey, I have money, I will go to the Dakar. You need to be accepted, you need to get a starting number, and so on. And then it starts. We spoke a lot about that phase. But that phase also has exit criteria. So where we can say, we finished, we should evaluate. So, okay, we finished the Dakar, or we didn't. But was it worth it? Now it's end. Does it fulfill this idea? Am I feeling good? that there was some motivation why I wanted to race on the Dakar. And then the question, do I want to repeat it next year? Maybe yes, maybe no. But all of these definitions, there will be quite different. If you are starting the project, you have some definition of done and definition of ready. If you're in the implementation phase, it will be a bit different too. And the last thing I would like to mention is one experiment. Does somebody know this ASCH conformation experiment? No. It was performed in 1950s. And the idea is that some doctor in psychology, he decided he wanted to do an experiment. And he took 8 people, put them to the same room, but 7 of them were actors. So they were instructed what to do. And then there was one real subject of that experiment. And it was quite easy. There were very easy things to do. So this is one of the real cards which were used during that experiment. So you have one card, there is a line. You have another card, and there are 3 lines. And all of the participants were asked to say which line has the same length. And I know we are all testers, but believe me, C is correct answer. I measured that, it's really correct answer. But the point is that the guy, the subject of experiment, he was the last one in the room. So everybody before him answers. And the first round was like, it's C, it's C, it's C. So everybody, all of the actors say, it's C. And then he said, of course, it's a C. Next round. But on the 3rd round, they changed the strategy. Now all of the actors say, it's A. But the same, it should be C. The answer is obvious. But let's imagine that you are sitting in that room, and Michael will say, it's A. Then that girl say, it's A, it's A. And then you are like, what is happening? And then you are on the round. What you will say? If we are all testers, we probably say it's a C, I don't care that you are wrong. But actually, 75% of people in this experiment, it was more than 100 people, they did a mistake on purpose. They said it's an A because everybody else say it's an A. And now the question is, what is the expected? Because we are all humans, and this is one of the biggest typical human behavior. We would like to stay with a crowd, or we like our comfort zones. But with a definition of ready, with a definition of done, all of these things, it depends how important is it for you. If you really disagree with something, even if entire team is saying A is correct, and you know or you feel C is correct, say it. Maybe you will not win. If all of these guys are saying we will do that thing, even if you disagree, you want to do that thing, you will probably do the incorrect thing. But at least you said it, and at least you can agree with your team. Let's have some measurement, let's have some observation, and so on. And maybe you were wrong. You find out that they are right, you were wrong, which is okay, but you said it. But without that, removing that pink glasses, without that proper discussion, it's very risky. But one of the things which we as a testers need to learn, and especially I have to learn, is how to communicate that. Because we all tend to point to the problems, and we like problems, so we will not say. But choosing that language, to don't be in a fight, to communicate it properly, I think that's one of the biggest skills which we as a testers have to learn. Otherwise, we are always the pain in the ass. And if there is too much pain, people will just get rid of you, even if they will fail. It's much more comfortable for them. And that's where I would like to end my speech, and it's time for questions.
Hello, thank you for your speech. It was great. My answer or my question is, do you know that some teams deny definition of done because they can't find a correct approach how to create it? Because if it connected to the business logic, it should be done by the product owner, but sometimes product owner can't understand and can't imagine in his mind how it should work and what is the criteria of the ready of this feature. And sometimes for the teams it's a pain because nobody wants to create this definition of done because of this problem. Nobody can imagine when this feature will be done. And my question is, do you maybe know when we should, or which approach we can use, this team can use to work with this definition of done more effective, more understandable? How to look forward, how to predict the future?
So the first myth is the definition of ready and done should be created by one role. If it is a tester, business owner, whatever. It's a team agreement. And everybody needs to cooperate because for a product owner, done means something else than for a tester, than for a developer. But all of them together, it's a definition of done. And that's why, for example, on the rally, they have something really like a definition of done. And it's a bit different per team. For example, all of the teams, it's a lot about cooperation. So you are on the first place and you see somebody has a problem. Most of the teams, in their process definition, they say, we will help him. Not Kamas, sorry. They say, we don't care. And they all agreed about that they would like to follow this. Is it a right decision, bad decision? I don't know. It's a race, but they agreed. And that came maybe from their owners, because they want to be first. So, definition of ready, done, it needs to be agreed by everybody. In the different phases, when you have a start of the project, you agree about something, you follow it, it doesn't work, you revise it, but everybody needs to agree. And then they own it, and maybe start with a small pieces. If you download the definition of ready from, or done from airplane industry, and you want to follow it, nobody is with you, and it's a suicide for you. So start with the small things, be adding, and everything what you add to your definition of done already, there needs to be value. We are doing that because we would like to achieve something or solve some problem and so on.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I quickly wanted to ask how much flexibility is there in your team in the definition of ready, because I have had several occasions where we want to develop something, but we are missing access to some other system, for example, and they say, oh, we will get it in a couple of days, let's just go. So do you allow such?
At first, disclaimer, this is my opinion, but I am working now in a startup, so we are quite not pushing for that. But at least we say, we know why we are doing. We can say, is it small, big, or extreme? Do we have the skills, or do we have to learn something? But in the previous company, it was a product company, it was quite strict, like, is there a real user? No. So we are not doing that. Even it's well specified. Everybody knows how to do it. It's a small thing. But no, because then there will be thousands of small things done like that, and it will kill you. So again, back to that. Why is that definition of ready there? What you would like to achieve? And if you are not following, what will happen? So that motivation also defines how strict you should be. But if you are breaking the definition of ready, this thing should have some flag on your Kanban. We decided we do it, and we measure that, and if you succeeded, and then if you have a lot of things, you broke your definition of ready, and you succeeded, probably there is something wrong with your definition of ready. So focus on the motivation, and then measure it. Measure the exceptions, and maybe fine-tune your definition of ready. I found out too often that they are strict, and they are not followed.
Hello, thanks for your speech. Really, in my project, there is some problem with definition of ready, because the customer is included in this process. And for example, we have definition of ready for the USs, but then some of the points are not done. But then our manager tells, okay, that's our customer, don't be so strict, be more friendly. Yeah, we can't be so bad guys for them because they are paying us. So what is the maybe best idea how to tell the manager that it's really important?
It depends on what point you are breaking. If you are breaking, we have no skills and you will not succeed. If you are breaking something and you think if we don't do it, there is no risk or low risk, we will not deliver, then yeah, break it and see and maybe remove that point. And one thing, I wish my customers are part of my definition of ready. And maybe you don't need to be too strict to that things when you know, yeah, they are beneficial. There will be small risk if we are not following them, so it's the higher level, then yeah, break it. But also maybe discuss this in a different words with a customer, like why is that thing in definition of ready? Because typically they don't understand. Ask them, what is their definition of ready? Say, like, you can add things here, we will do them, because it's an agreement.
Thanks.
Hi, Vojtech. Alejandro is here. Just to relieve the tension of serious talk, you mentioned that you're not the guy on the picture. You're not of them.
I am actually,
You are.
I'm that guy.
Right. You're here, but you're not...
Not there.
Yes, with this team. So, the question is, how did you get their t-shirt?
You can buy them. And by the way, the best question, get their hat, or how to call it in English.
Nice. The second question. What hills, sky, and road mean in your picture where was the logo of Fast and Furious? You said about the cars,
sky,
but sky, road, and hill.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, road, yeah, that's a vision goal. A sky, maybe I have a kid, so I'm not working during the night, or I wish I'm not working during the night. Yeah, I like that picture to demonstrate that, yeah, the furious, we should not be furious at all. And that's the main point there, because, yeah.
So, just for the environment?
Yeah, maybe environment, maybe a context, maybe experience, biases, and so on. We are also damaged people.
Right, thanks.
Hi, and thanks for the presentation. You said that many medium defects may be more important or worse than one major one. But how do we get to convince everybody else about it?
You can have a lot of good examples, like if you have some weights, something, and you are weightlifting and so on. If you have something which is 20 kilograms, yeah, it's a big. If you have a lot of 100 grams, but it's a huge, together the weight is bigger. But the best examples, find one defect which you thought it's a medium severity, and it was not. And we all have this defect. Yeah, it's medium, I don't care. And then customers say, it's not a medium, it's a huge. So find the examples to demonstrate them. And second thing, for each defect you are postponing outside your sprint, at first communicate that with a customer, and second, define what is the impact. So you will say, I think this defect, it's a medium severity, because according to me, the impact to these people is that, and that's why we are postponing that. And if you share this thing with a customer, they read these things. If you share 20 defects, just the defect number and name, they will not react. But if they understand that explanation, they will say immediately, but impact to me as a customer, it's big. And it happens in opposite way. Sometimes I say, yeah, sorry, we cannot fix that critical defect. I explain and the customer reacted. I don't care, that's not a critical. I say, but we think it's a critical as a development. No, not for me. So communicate in a customer language. Okay. Best question. So who likes wearing a hat? And you ask the question? No. So you, yeah, it's for guys. And shirt, it was something about not full with a customer. Oh, that was you, yeah. Good. Okay, thank you.